Okay, imagine this for a second. You take, like, the most buttoned-up culinary critic you can think of, someone who probably uses words like gastronomique, just, normally.
The kind who talks about balance and nuance
All right.
constantly.
Exactly. Now drop that person smack into a backyard barbecue. Not just any barbecue, but one run by a chef whose whole motto is basically expect supper, not tablecloths.
Huh. Yeah, what on earth happens then, it sounds like.
Well, less like dinner and more like a culinary train wreck waiting to happen.
Right. But what's really interesting and what we're diving into today is how these totally opposite approaches, this artistry versus pure pragmatism,
Mm.
how they don't just clash, they can actually spark something totally new.
Yeah, something unexpected. It's fascinating.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So in this deep dive, we are exploring this delightfully absurd collision of food philosophies. Our mission, to unpack how these two ways of thinking, artistry versus just sheer utility, can actually find common ground and even, well, inspire a surprising new creation.
We're digging into the wisdom, if you like, from this gastronomic tug of war. Exactly. And we're drawing our insights from this really unique narrative. It's called Gastronomic Détente of beer, breadcrumbs, and common ground. Specifically, Gastronomique Disdaine, Episode 1.
It's a great source, really funny, but also surprisingly insightful. You'll love it.
So the scene is set, Uncle Dave's backyard. It's rugged, definitely unpretentious. And the only critic who's already there is Winston, the family dog, who's apparently warming up with his signature symphony of slobber.
Chuckles. Always a good sign.
Totally. So you'll meet our discerning critic, obsessed with the soul of food, and Uncle Dave, this pragmatic fabricator, someone who builds things and cooks the same way. For him, supper is the highest promise. Get ready, it's going to be a flavorful journey.
Okay, let's get into this clash then.
Right. So, first corner. Reginald Archibald Fransworth III, our critic, he puts it very eloquently. Culinary arts are not simply about feeding the body, they're about feeding the soul. He talks about balance of acid and fat, the nuance of texture.
You can just picture him, can't you? Maybe swirling a wine glass.
Mm-hmm.
Very serious.
Totally. Then, across the picnic table, you've got Uncle Dave, the fabricator. His philosophy, way simpler. Almost the exact opposite.
Yeah, he's like, balance, nuance. Listen, you slap butter on it, fry it till it's crispy. That's balance. End of story.
Laughs as it's just such a direct dismissal.
Completely. And you feel the tension right away. Reginald just sighs, hearing that, and mutters something like, end of civilization, more like.
But then, this is where it gets funny. Winston the dog lets out this long, wet slurp. And Uncle Dave just grins and goes, dog disagrees. That's a 5-star review right there.
And Reginald's comeback is perfect, isn't it? Your hound's tongue is not the Michelin Guide.
It really sets it up perfectly. The dog's tongue versus the Michelin Guide. It's brilliant.
It is. And, this kind of conflict, it isn't just about food, is it? It plays out everywhere. How often do you run into this? One person's all about the elegant theory, the proper way, while the other's just focused on getting it done, the practical result.
All the time. It's that classic theory versus practice, form versus function. And yeah, it often leads to some pretty funny situations when those worlds collide.
Definitely. That fundamental difference in approach. Okay, so let's see it in action. Because Uncle Dave isn't just talking the talk.
No, he's cooking. And the first demo is pure Uncle Dave. The beer can chicken.
Ah, yes. His technique description is priceless. Can up the bum, bird stands tall, cooks even, moist every time. Zero fuss, all about the result.
Effective cooking, pure and simple. But Reginald, he's completely horrified.
Understandably, from his perspective, he calls the presentation barbaric. He insists food must arrive at the table with dignity.
He's not even tasting it yet. It's just the look of it that offends him. But I mean, does presentation matter for just, supper?
Well, Reginald certainly thinks so. But Uncle Dave, he just brushes it off completely. Food's not royalty, it's supper. You want dignity? Iron your shirt.
Laughs. Oh my gosh. Such a classic Dave response.
It really is.
Yeah.
And all through this, you've got Winston the dog starting this enthusiastic round of licking, punctuated with sighs. It's like this slobbery soundtrack that just makes Reginald even more exasperated. The narrator says, Madame Bovary could not withstand this dog's soundtrack.
That's amazing. But okay, the culinary adventure doesn't end there, does it? Uncle Dave has another treat.
Oh, yes. A regional delicacy, as he calls it.
Yeah.
Turns out to be squirrel testicles.
Yep. Breaded, fried, crisp as chips. Truly unconventional.
And Reginald's reaction is, well, visceral. He calls it a regional war crime. Says it tastes of resignation and despair.
Wow, despair. That's strong.
It is. But here's the really interesting part. The narrator points out that the critic is chewing. He even admits, grimacing, because I'm learning. So despite the horror, there's this sliver of, well, maybe not openness, but reluctant curiosity.
He's trying. He even tries to, like, elevate it in his mind, right?
Yeah.
Suggesting sauces.
Exactly. He thinks maybe a remoulade or a saffron aioli, trying to bring his world into
Yeah,
it.
Uncle Dave is just like,
Oh, what now? Sounds expensive. Mayo and paprika will do the trick. Pure pragmatism again. Mayo and paprika. Easy, cheap, gets the job done.
it just highlights that gap so perfectly. Fancy sauces versus pantry staples, it really makes you think about your own limits, doesn't it? What you consider normal or acceptable food versus what someone else does.
Totally. Our backgrounds, our experiences, they shape everything, including what we find appetizing, or even just, okay, one person's delicacy is another's.
Well,
War crime, apparently.
so after the chicken incident and the testicle tasting, you'd think that's it, right? These two are never going to see eye to eye.
You would think. But then there's this shift, a real turning point, actually, for Reginald. He has this kind of revelation.
Yeah, he actually says to Dave, Perhaps I've judged you too harshly. He recognizes Dave's cooking isn't about showing off, it's about survival. He says Dave welds not only steel, but meals from whatever life throws your way.
That's a huge admission for someone like Reginald. And what's great is Dave kind of meets him halfway, in his own gruff style, of course.
Pass.
He acknowledges that Reginald's fancy thinking, as he puts it, can make flavors dance. Says it's worth trying once if it don't take all night.
Chuckles. Okay, that sounds like Dave. High praise indeed.
It is. And naturally, Winston the dog seals the deal with a triumphant slurp as though sensing détente. The dog knows.
The dog always knows. But that moment, that mutual grudging respect, that's really key, isn't it? Seeing past the surface judgment.
It's crucial, recognizing there's value in the other person's approach, even if it's completely different from yours. That's where real collaboration starts, I think.
Yeah, moving past those initial assumptions. And it sets the stage perfectly for what happens next, which is, well, kind of amazing.
A collaboration. Reginald actually pitches it. He says, what if we fused our worlds? A dish both rustic and refined. Your fire, my finesse.
Bold move, right there in the backyard. A fusion dish.
Super bold, considering where they started. And Reginald immediately has ideas for the squirrel delicacy, not just fried, but served atop a delicate reduction. Red wine, shallots, perhaps a whisper of thyme. Very him.
Classic Reginald. But Dave doesn't just sit back, does he? He jumps in with his own practical genius.
Right. He says they should wrap the chicken in bacon first. Keeps it moist. And he adds a little jab. None of your hydraulic disasters. Reminding Reginald about some earlier cooking mishap.
Laughs nice. So he's contributing his fire while kind of acknowledging the finesse. And what does Reginald think of bacon-wrapped beer can chicken?
His reaction is brilliant. Blasphemy. And yet, intriguing. He's actually tempted.
He's coming around, so you have this image of them.
Yeah, the narrator says they're leaning in side by side, stirring one pot, seasoning with both wisdom and stubbornness.
Yeah.
Even Winston the dog is apparently stunned by the miracle of harmony.
That's fantastic. It's such a great metaphor, isn't it? Not just for cooking, but for any kind of innovation. Taking seemingly impossible ideas.
The practical and the artistic, the fire and the finesse, and smashing them together to see what happens. That's often where the really creative breakthroughs are.
Which leads us beautifully to the grand finale, the culmination of all this. The birth of, well, what do we call it? A masterpiece. A monstrosity.
Reginald formally names it the Ballotine de Squirrel Testicle.
Of course he does.
But it later gets the nickname the Hubley Ballotine.
The Hubley Ballotine. I love it. Okay, break it down for us. What goes into this creation?
Okay, get this. The core. Uncle Dave's deep-fried squirrel testicles.
Naturally.
Then these are encased in a roulade, like the roll of the bacon-wrapped beer can chicken. So that's the fusion element right there. Both their ideas combined.
Okay. Bacon, chicken, testicles. What else?
It's served nestled on a bed of mayonnaise-kissed coleslaw. Definitely Uncle Dave's contribution.
Yeah.
No fancy aioli in sight.
Simple side, got it. But Reginald has to add his touch, right?
Oh, absolutely. The finishing touch is a sophisticated drizzle of truffle oil. Just a little bit of luxury.
Truffle oil. On top of mayo slaw and fried squirrel bits. Wow. And the presentation.
Garnished with microgreens, naturally, but served on plywood.
Plywood.
Or, as Uncle Dave calls it, cinder block chic. Trendy now. Saw it on YouTube.
Laughs, that is just perfect. High meets low in every possible way. What are the reactions?
Dave has this surprised grin, clearly proud. And Winston, Ecstatic licking, basically trying to climb onto the plywood serving platter.
Amazing. The narrator sums it up how?
As a monstrosity, or perhaps a miracle, a Frankenstein's union of rustic pragmatism and hot cuisine, shimmering with grease and glitz in equal measure.
Grease and glitz, that captures it. It's absurd, it's memorable, and it makes the point perfectly, doesn't it? That fusion, even unlikely fusion, can create something really interesting, even if it starts from, utilitarian horror versus cultivated sensibilities.
Exactly. The Hubley Ballotine is like, it's the punchline, but it's also the thesis statement. It shows how bringing together things that seem totally incompatible can result in something unique, even if it's a bit weird.
So the story doesn't end in disdain. It ends in...
Gastronomic détente, as Reginald calls it. He realizes that refinement and rusticity don't have to be enemies. They can be partners. He even says that amongst the beer cans and WD-40 fumes, haute cuisine may be born.
high praise. And Dave's final word.
Perfectly understated. Still just supper, but not half bad, which, from him, is basically a rave review.
Chuckles.
So,
Yeah, so this whole deep dive, it really shows that real innovation, real understanding, it often comes when you embrace that tension between opposites, right?
absolutely. Finding that surprising harmony, like the story says, in the ridiculous and the sublime. It's not about one side winning. It's about creating something new together.
So for you listening, here's the takeaway thought for your own deep dive. Where in your life, maybe at work, maybe in a hobby, maybe just how you think about things, are you holding onto a really rigid distinction, between highbrow and lowbrow, or maybe practical and elegant?
Yeah. What seemingly incompatible things could you bring together? Maybe with a bit of humor, a bit of that open mind like Reginald eventually found. What could you create? What's your Hubley Ballotine waiting to be discovered?
Something to think about. That unexpected fusion might be where the real magic is.